Alright, welcome! Hi, I am Colby, I am Codamreon, and I am the coach of the Boca Raton Bellibolts. This is my analysis of my own draft of, this is for the VBL Season 9. This is a Regulation C Pokemon VGC format tournament. This is doubles, and I'm going to be going over my draft, my thought process, my picks. I made a PowerPoint, I'm having fun. Let's talk about it. This is a nice little picture I made. Shout out to Hyperviolet. It's an AI image generation company that my friend owns. Made this gorgeous background, and a bunch of PNGs go on top of it. Nice little group photo. All right. Before I jump into all of my thoughts on my Pokemon, let's talk about let's talk about what I value in a draft. For reference, I'm going to have this little box on the bottom. That'll help you remember what the whole team looks like as I go through it. But let's talk about what makes a Pokemon a good choice in my opinion, what makes a strong team overall. Oh, okay. First off, I want a diverse list of threats. When you look at my team, I want it to be very, very scary to think about what am I going to bring. I want there to be Pokemon that are really hard to deal with. I want there to be different threats to look at. I want a nice distribution of physical and special threats. So maybe you're calcing for a Scizor, but you can't calc to live the Iron Moth. Maybe you want to outspeed the Iron Moth, but then if you want to go into Trick Room, then you lose to the Foongus. When I'm looking at a draft board, when I'm looking at a draft, I really want my Pokemon to present a really difficult thing to draft against. I want also Pokemon, especially high up in my draft, I want versatile Pokemon. I want Pokemon that represent a whole bunch of different types of threats. Salamence is an excellent example of a versatile Pokemon because he can run physical, he can run special, he can run utility. I can be a Dragon Dance set. I'm going to be really hard to prepare for. If I've got this Salamence on my team, then as long as you're outspeeding it, it's base 100 speed, the Salamence is going to be, you could get faster than that. A lot of Pokemon have 101, 102. You can speed up over it, but you don't know if it's going to be physical or special. You don't quite know where the sash is going to be. I want Pokemon to be scary. I like Polteageist on my team because I think it's also a Pokemon that can do a lot of different things, and we're going to explore that a little bit as I go through the team. Polteageist is my Trick Room setter. He's a Pokemon that has Trick Room on. He can go slow, but also he's got Shell Smash. So he can turn into a fast threat or a slow threat. He's got a monstrous special attack stat, and again, very diverse, versatile threats. Things that can really hit you from any end of the board. Or Polteageist, what if it just comes out and Will-O-Wisps you and sets screens, and it's just kind of an annoyance Pokemon? I want a lot of Pokemon that are really hard to prepare for because they're so versatile. That makes a strong pick for me. And then I think there's a really big factor of belief in a Pokemon. There's a lot of Pokemon that I look at them and I just say, you know what? I'm not about this Pokemon. I think historically Swampert has been one of those Pokemon. There's no reason Swampert isn't good, but I just don't mesh with Swampert. It's just a Pokemon that I've never used to good effect. I always feel like when I play Swampert on a team, I get hit with the grass move. So I would much rather pick my Metagross and just have an answer for the Swampert and go over that. And some of the Pokemon that I believe in, I think Wo-Chien. I am a Wo-Chien believer. You can post your live reactions if you want, but I think that Wo-Chien is all that. I think he's got what it takes, and I really wanted to build a draft around Wo-Chien. I believe that this Pokemon really forces a lot of teams to build in weird ways. It requires that other teams have threats against it. And I remember I was calcing a couple games, or I did a couple of games where I was just running either for or against a Wo-Chien Leech Seed. And if I didn't have like some nasty gunk shot or special Moonblast against it, it would just never die. Oh, and sometimes it has a Terra type. So you have to prepare for Wo-Chien and all of its Terra types. I believe in Wo-Chien. Also, I believe in Bellibolt. I am the Boca Raton Bellibolts. One, because it's a funny name, and Bellibolt is funny and happy. But I think that Bellibolt is nuts. We're going to talk a lot about Bellibolt and what he can do. Why Bellibolt is more than just an electric attacker. with some okay stats. Charge is real, guys. Electromorphosis is super real. We're going to talk about it. So I'm going to talk a lot about this is how I value when I draft Pokemon. For reference, I was 8th in the draft. So a lot of my draft, I wasn't anywhere near an end. So it wasn't like I was able to pick Indeedee Armarouge or some cohesive strategy. And I really had to rely on what I believed was good in a draft. When I pick Wo-Chien first, sure, I know I'm going to lead into special threats, but I don't quite know where my team is going to take me. And the draft, I'll talk about my thought process as I go through it, but my thoughts on this draft and this team kind of evolved a lot as I was picking, partially because I got sniped a couple of times, but I think I ended up with all the Pokemon that I really wanted and needed. But there were definitely Pokemon that I thought were really versatile, or the right threat for the team, and they got picked up. So being 8th in the draft, I got to kind of shift and shimmy around, and we'll talk about each pick in order. This little full team reference here on the bottom, this is the order of picks of my team. So we're going to talk about them one at a time, why I picked them, when I picked them, and what kind of what they are as a Pokemon, what threats they bring to a team, and let's get into it. Okay. Also, name reveal. This is Rosetta, the Wo-Chien. I think that's a fantastic name for a Wo-Chien. Wo-Chien is a grass dark type. I think it has actually one of the highest special defenses of grass types. I picked it up for a cool 16 points, which is just a steal, man. I gotta tell you, Wo-Chien, who let this ruin Pokemon be 16 points? I think that Wo-Chien is a monster. I think that Wo-Chien can really define a team. His Tablets of Ruin make sure that everyone's kind of pseudo-intimidated, except for him, which I don't think means that you shouldn't be running physical attackers. I think that you should be focused on special attackers. You should have some very strong special threats, but you control when Wo-Chien is on the field. And whether or not you want him to be an offensive threat or a defensive threat that can kind of win an endgame is up to you. Rule of thumb is that symmetrical effects are not symmetrical because you control them. The standard Wo-Chien set is something with leftovers, something that is designed to win the game at the end when there's nothing left. You send him out there, you throw some Leech Seeds down, you throw up a Snarl, and all of a sudden they can't kill you. You heal back with your leftovers and your Leech Seed, you Pollen Puff your teammate if you want. But as we're going to see, Wo-Chien just has all sorts of options. Special attack of 95 and attack of 85, they're serviceable. They're not fantastic, but we've got a lot of cool attacks that go with the Wo-Chien. If you don't feel like doing the actual recovery with Leech Seed, you can run an offensive Wo-Chien. I don't think that the Assault Vest is the best choice for him, but I think that there are certain teams where if they don't have that versatility of physical and special threats, then they cannot break through an Assault Vest Wo-Chien, especially when you Terra into something wild. And then Giga and Snarl are fantastic sustainability moves. My goal with this Pokemon, as we'll see with the rest of the draft, is to put Wo-Chien in a position where it either supports the team or can win a game. One way it supports the team is by being a screen setter. One of the things about Wo-Chien is that when people can't kill it, maybe they won't hit it. Sometimes they'll see the Leech Seed as not an immediate threat if it's standing next to maybe something more threatening like a Scizor or the Iron Moth. Then you actually have time to hit Protect on something else and set up a screen. And suddenly this attack reduction really starts to hurt with that Reflect. You can also run them kind of physical. You have Foul Play. I think that this Mean Look is a thing in its set that's not to be overlooked. I think that Wo-Chien has a lot of really cool utility, and if you can actually trap something that can't kill you on the field, maybe you hit the Terra correctly and you Mean Look that thing on the field, it's almost like killing that Pokemon early. Mean Look is actually really strong. Like, if you can get the Torkoal to stay on the field and take away its sun and put Rain up, it'll just die to Leech Seed kind of slowly. Terrifying option. Wo-Chien has physical options. Its physical attack is lower, but if you really wanted to run some sort of nonsense Trailblaze, it gets knockoff. It's a dark type with knockoff, which is a fantastic option into a lot of like bulky psychic types, maybe things that want to have mental herb. I could do some sort of knockoff into taunt play. There's a world where Rosetta, the Wo-Chien, comes out and knocks you off, and then, oh, well, now I don't beat you in an endgame because I don't have my leftovers. It's not fantastic on the physical side, but it's got the options. And then utility. If you really wanted it to stick around, it can just ingrain and actually heal up and never die. You can tickle something, which lowers the opponent's attack and defense. I remember there was a Gothitelle at one point that trapped things in with Shadow Tag, and then ran tickle. I forget who the player was, but it was out of Worlds, and it would drop their attack and their defense, and it would beat Landorus's and things, and Incineroars. And Scary Face. Wo-Chien doesn't have a ton of speed control in its kit, but it does get Scary Face, so that is an option if you really need to run the speed control. It doesn't get Toxic, but it does get Poison Powder, so I don't think that Poison Powder is all that good, but if you really wanted to win this annoying endgame with Wo-Chien, you could run it. But yeah, Wo-Chien, I think that I picked this Pokemon because it was the Ruin Mon, because I wanted to play with it, because I am a Wo-Chien believer, and I think I wanted to build a team around this Mon, and starting off a draft, I didn't quite know which direction I wanted to take it, but I know that I wanted to go a little further into this bulky and damage reduction option, while still having a fast mode. Wo-Chien being a 70 speed mon means that it's really middling tier, and I really wanted this faster option. I really wanted a Tailwind mode to complement it. So I chose my Tailwind center as old-fashioned the Salamence. Not only because it is kind of the old-fashioned option, there's no Mega Salamence right now, I'm not Roaring Moon, but also it's a mixed drink, and Salamence likes to be mixed. Cool thing about Salamence is that even though it's got a higher attack than special attack, it really most often runs these special sets, or at least a mixed set where you can throw Draco Meteor on and nuke something that wasn't expecting it. And this I think is one of my favorite draft picks. Whenever I'm building a team in practice, I never put Salamence on the team because it fits as much as it does. It can fit any role. It is here to be a 100 base speed Tailwind, which isn't as fast as, say, Jumpluff or Talonflame or even Fletchinder or Murkrow are going to get up the Tailwind first, but you don't know if Salamence is going to hit Tailwind. It could just nuke you with the Draco Meteor. It could come out and if it intimidates you, that if you see it in the team preview, then it might intimidate me. But if you're running Defiant Mons, maybe I just come out with Moxie, and instead I run some sort of Dragon Dance set. It gets really good coverage on the physical side. It gets Dragon Claw, which honestly on a physical set I would rather run some sort of hasty naive, and then just instead of the Dragon Claw run Draco Meteor. That's probably worth a calc somewhere. But Salamence can run these physical options. Or it can come out and intimidate you in Scarf. So maybe I'm coming in and you see the Intimidate and you're like, oh no, I'm gonna get Draco Meteor. I better not get hit with that. And I Tailwind. I can choice Scarf and I can just come get you right away. I have flinch chances on Air Slash. I think I get Hurricane if I feel like it. But the whole point of Salamence as my second draft pick is that it's stacking up on this let's be mean to opposing physical attackers and have this really versatile, useful utility mixed threat. It does a bunch of other stuff too. It has coverage. It's got coverage in all sorts of colors, in all sorts of typings. Psychic Feints is good against if someone is trying to go bulkier than me with other screens or Aura Veil. It gets hate for other fairies, like if you have a fairy matchup, you can actually run the Iron Head, run into Terra Steel. I don't think Assault Vest is great, but hey, if I'm running Wo-Chien and Intimidate, maybe Assault Vest Salamence wins somewhere? Who knows? Maybe it runs Moxie Assault Vest. It gets utility too. Bulldoze is kind of a nice option into the Bellibolt that we'll be talking about in a minute, but it gets some phasing, it gets Brick Break and Psychic Feigns. Maybe I feel like breaking some screens. And it also has really powerful attacks. It actually gets Great special coverage also. You can run the Hydro Pump if you're willing to not miss. If I'm running into a rain team like Jordan's team, I can actually piggyback off of that. Maybe the Hyper Voice is a little bit, a little bit much, but if I'm trying to set up with this special Salamence, hey, here I come with my Hyper Voice Draco Meteor Hurricane Hydro Pump. I don't have a gravity setter, but what if I did? What if you did? What if I just was good at the game and didn't miss? Salamence, old-fashioned, still works. Love me some Salamence. Alright, pick 3 is where I get a little bit weird. I knew I wanted a special attacker. I knew I wanted something fast. At this point in my draft, I was actually looking to pick up another support. I was looking at Salazzle, and it got picked up really quick. It was like 11 or 12 points, and it was going to be a fake out. It was going to be a cool way to do corrosion, toxicing steel types, but it got picked up. So I said, okay, I want a special attacker in this slot. I want a dedicated special attacker. I want someone who does cool things. I was between Glimmora, I was looking at Skeledirge, I was looking at Iron Moth a little bit, but it still felt a little expensive at that point. So I said, you know what? I really want Bellibolt. I know that I want Bellibolt. There are so many things that I want to do with Bellibolt. I am a Bellibolt believer. I'm so excited to talk about Bellibolt. I'm so excited to zap things with this guy. He gets a great standard set. The standard Bellibolt is something like you run some HP, you run some Assault Vest, or maybe a Citrus Berry. You really abuse this Electromorphosis. So the way this ability works is if you get hit, you become charged. You can't become charged twice, so like getting hit twice or getting hit with a multi-hit move doesn't stack on this. But if you get hit, you get your Electromorphosis. And suddenly you're charged, and your next electric attack does double damage. Double damage is so much. That is the difference between hitting neutrally and hitting super effectively. And you are built to take these hits. 109, 60, 91, 83 is a ton of bulk. Especially we're going to be like healing up with Wo-Chien's Pollen Puff. We've got damage mitigation all over this team. We've already drafted 2 Pokemon that reduce my opponent's physical attack. So Earthquakes, what Earthquakes? I don't care. What else is nice about Charge is it persists between turns. So if you hit me and I use Muddy Water, then next turn my Volt Switch is still charged. It doesn't go away. I don't know when my spread actually gave me attack EVs, but you get Sucker Punch. You get all sorts of really good electric moves that this Pokemon can really take advantage of. But the problem with Bellibolt is that if he's on the field and you don't hit him, he doesn't get Electromorphosis. I've tried Brutal Swing things. I've tried, you could go Weakness Policy. You could go Bulldoze. I don't think that's where it's at. I don't think that Weakness Policy Bulldoze is the way to play Bellibolt unless you're playing a Rangaroo and actually can get that really, really weak Bulldoze. It's not kind of a thing that I'm looking at super hard on my team. Bellibolt is a host unto himself. If you don't hit Bellibolt, then Bellibolt just won't hit you. If I lead Salamence Bellibolt and you attack my Salamence because you are afraid that Bellibolt, you don't want to hit him, he could be Assault Vest Electromorphosis, and my attack is dropped because I'm Salamence. Oh no. You attack Salamence because you don't want him to get off the Tailwind or something. Suddenly I protect Salamence and I set up a screen. All of a sudden, you realize that the Bellibolt, you kind of have to hit it. And now you can't kill it because I've got a screen up. Suddenly this Bellibolt becomes this wonderful inevitable threat. And you get this move called Parabolic Charge. Previously unique to Dedenne. Parabolic Charge is Draining Kiss for all opponents. It hits all three Mons on the field. And it heals you, it has like 55 or something base power. And it heals you for half the damage done. If you go Terra Electric and you have max special attack or even any special attack and you get charge and you get charge because of Electromorphosis and you click Parabolic Charge, you're healing back all of the damage that you just took from getting hit for Electromorphosis. On cartridge, I was playing an Oranguru Trick Room Bellibolt with Instruct. You can't kill this thing because it Parabolic Charges twice and it just doesn't die. You play it next to Pachirisu, and suddenly you can't get hit with the direct attack, and it heals back your Volt Absorb guy. Oh, Parabolic Charge is so good. There's not a lot of great ground types on this team, I will say, to kind of go next to Parabolic Charge. So I don't know how many Parabolic Charge strats I'm going to use, but I think Wo-Chien is just fine. It's not Discharge. Jelly Belly does get Discharge. You can click this move and try to get paralysis chances on guys, but I think that Parabolic Charge does a better job when you're not trying to get... It's not trying to get one-hit kills, and if you're standing next to Wo-Chien, both of those guys are... You don't want to hit them, you can't really hit them that hard, it's really annoying, and they're both healing back passively. Parabolic Charge is so good. I'm so excited to run Screen's Bellibolt, because you don't know what it's going to be. Maybe it's actually got Sucker Punch on there. Or maybe it's my real strat. So, Bellibolt is one of the few, certainly in this generation, but there are not a lot of non-water types that get Soak. I think that Masquerain and Ice-Q are the only two other non-water types that get Soak in this generation. And Bellibolt is a fantastic user of Soak, especially on this team. The way that Soak works is it turns your Pokemon into a water type. This is not terastallizing. You do not get your stab anymore, you now get water stab. So if you like hit a Flutter Mane with the Soak, then suddenly it's a water type, it's weak to water, it doesn't get its two good stab moves. But really, Soak is kind of dangerous in a terastallizing meta because you can't change the type of a terastallized Mon. If I Soak your guy and you have a Terra Crown on, it fails. The way to get around this is you Soak your partner. So there's a lot of Pokemon on my team that would really appreciate not being weak to fire, not being weak to other water types. Suddenly, if I Soak my Wo-Chien, suddenly if I have Bellibolt and Wo-Chien on my team, you don't have to prepare for just Wo-Chien's Terra type. Because I could be Terra Fire, I could be Terra Fire Wo-Chien, or I could be Soak Wo-Chien. How are you going to deal with the Fire Water Grass Core in one Mon not named Scovillain or Ludicolo? It's terrifying. Soak is so good. If you waste your Terra, I can Soak you, and then I can get double power on my double charged Thunderbolt. Kinda good. In an endgame, Bellibolt and Wo-Chien are inevitable. They are a really, really terrifying pair together, and if you're not prepared for them, I will set up a screen, or I will snarl you, and you will not beat these two Pokemon. You cannot take them down. Bellibolt can also be kind of scary. He can also boost himself a little bit. He gets Hyper Voice and Throat Spray. Let's boost up a little bit. I can Throat Spray. I can slack off to get my regeneration. He gets Parabolic Charge, but why not just slack it off? Oh, important note. Jelly Belly's shiny. You will always be seeing my Bellibolt as shiny, but remember that the happy face right here, those are his eyes. These are not his eyes. Come on, guys. These are his eyes. Happy little guy. Bellibolt gets other cool options also. He gets Acid Spray to help my other special attackers or himself. I don't know if it's super relevant, but he gets Weather Ball for that fire, stab, and sun. Maybe beats a Lilycole that way, I don't know. He gets Thunder Wave and Discharge to kind of apply that speed control to get... In the same way that you may not attack him and I might get a Light Scream up, maybe you don't attack me and I'll Thunder Wave you. And now you're slow because you didn't hit the Bellibolt. He also gets Chilling Water, which I don't think is a super fantastic move in this generation. No replacement for Scald, but as long as we're going with the top three Mons of being bulky and reducing damage done into my team, Bellibolt is an excellent recipient of the stat drops from Chilling Water. And finally, I have secret sets for Bellibolt. Soak is not my only strat. I can't spill all of my strats on Bellibolt. But look out. Watch out for Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch, Bellibolt is gonna get you. My next pick was Iron Moth. I didn't expect to actually splurge this much on another high point Mon, but I realized I needed something really, really fast. When you're drafting, you really need to know what your fastest thing is. When you're preparing against your opponent, you need to know how fast can they go, how much of my speed do I have to dump into my stats so I can get over your opponent's threats. I think that at the time, the Iron Moth was a fantastic pick. I think I could have also picked King Gambit, but Iron Moth kind of fills that hole that Salazzle losing Salazzle missed. It is this really strong, really fast special attacker. Didn't get Fake Out. You'll see I didn't draft Fake Out until very, very late. But I am really happy with Robot Volcarona. It's the fastest thing. An important thing to note when you're EVing your Volcarona, if you want to be really fast, you can you want to get your booster energy, your speed has to be your biggest number. Hello, Daisy. This is my kitty cat, Daisy. She sits on my lap sometimes. She's a good cat. To get Iron Moth to be as fast as you want, it needs to be timid, max speed, and you can only run a certain amount of attack. Let me see that actual speed. I have it here. That number is 178. Iron Moth's max speed is 178. Booster energy gets you a 1.5x on that, and that means that your special attack could really only be 177. That's if you want to boost your energy, your speed. You can still do other things. Like, I think there are some electric terrain Bellibolt strats we can run, but really, Volcarona's job, Iron Moth's job is to come in and be really fast and be really threatening. 140 special attack is so much. It hits so hard. I don't think it needs Bug Buzz. I think it's just funny because it really wishes it was Volcarona. But Poison Fire is a cool typing. It's a little weak to ground, but right now I have 2 ground weaknesses and 2 ground resistances, and I think that's just fine. It gets a ton of coverage. So what else can it do? It can actually set up a lot like the Salamence had Dragon Dance. I can run Fiery Dance. I can go a little bit faster. I can get some nice Terra Blast stuff in. I can get Sludge Wave. I've got a Scizor on the team. Sludge Wave doesn't have a bunch of great partners, but it's there. Iron Moth doesn't get a fantastic Poison Stab, but it does get Acid Spray. Iron Moth gets a ton of coverage. There's like, I was looking at my team, I was looking at the board, there wasn't a great fairy type attacker. Salamence was a good flying attacker, but it gets discharged because you can actually discharge next to your Bellibolt to give it the Electromorphosis yourself and then boost and then attack harder. Iron Moth's coverage is very scary between the fire moves, the energy ball, the dazzling gleam. It's really hard to prepare for this mon because it also says 140, and sometimes that 140 is times free life orb. Oh, look, more coverage. It gets psychic. It gets U-turn, which is kind of nice. There's a lot of pivoting strats that can go on in my team. The Boca Raton Bellibolts have U-turn on both Iron Moth and Scizor. It has Volt Switch on Bellibolt, and it also has U-turn on Morgrem. So there's a lot of cool pivots into cool defensive Pokemon like the Wo-Chien and the Salamence, or into the Bellibolt to kind of take that hit and get the Electromorphosis. It gets Flash Cannon, but I don't think it needs to hit Fairy types any harder, or Ice types any harder than it was already hitting them. Psychic is nice for Psychic Terrain things. It gets cool support. I don't think I plan on running Toxic Spikes, but who knows? Maybe Wo-Chien plus Toxic Spikes is a good strategy. Maybe that wins a thing. Maybe a really, really fast Screech into some sort of Salamence hit is really good. Struggle Bug is a cool move. It's kind of like Snarl. It hits both opponents and drops their special attack. Again, supporting this let's not die strategy. And I've got this cursed Iron Moth set because there's a couple of moves that I keep looking for, and Iron Moth doesn't get them. It can't set up Tailwind despite having wings. It can't set up Reflect despite getting Light Screen. It can't set up Quiver Dance despite being a Moth. And it can't get Will-O-Wisp despite being a Fire type. Those are all really cool support options that Iron Moth just doesn't get. And I think that's one of the things where Iron Moth is not a versatile Pokemon. It really wants to just go fast, and if it wants to go fast, its special attack is kind of capped, and it doesn't have great support options. Am I going to run Toxic Spikes Iron Moth? Maybe, but that's because the team is going to support it and the team might need it. Really, Iron Moth's job is to be really fast and hit really hard with really good special attacks, and then probably die after that. We got Pow Pow the Scizor. Oh, I'm excited for Scizor. Scizor was my 5th pick because I really wanted a strong steel type. I like the fact that my steel type here isn't weak to ground or fighting. It's very weak to fire, but we have Soak for that. And I really wanted the fast physical threat because at this point I was leaning a little bit special. I wanted a physical threat that had to be respected, and I think Scizor, in any respect, is that threat. Bullet Punch Technician, close combat coverage, big strong U-turns, all very, very threatening coming out of this Pokemon. It's got Tailwind. It's not a fast Tailwind. It's more of that like last turn of Trick Room Tailwind, or maybe it finds a moment to set up Tailwind. The team does appreciate it. So also having this Bullet Punch. This Bullet Punch is really the first tool that I've drafted, other than Bellibolt himself, against the Trick Room mode. We're going to be talking about the Trick Room mode in a minute, but this Bullet Punch is so threatening. If you're fighting against me, you have to respect the Technician 130 base power Bullet Punch, and it just gets over your speed. It can run a Choice Band set. Choice Band Scizor is actually terrifying. I lost to, I don't know if it was a Choice Band Scizor, but I lost once to a Trailblaze Terra Grass Scizor, because turns out Trailblaze also gets Technician boost, Terra Grass is a boost, Choice Band is a boost. This thing can really just sweep through entire teams. Or it can just U-turn. U-turn out, come into Wo-Chien, get the attack drop, turn into Bellibolt. Suddenly that fire attack hits my my Assault Vest Bellibolt, and I get charged. This Scizor is really, really terrifying and very strong with the Choice Band. And it's also kind of the first dedicated setup mod on the team. I think in doubles we don't set up as much typically, but with my team I think we're looking to set up a couple of things. And once you hit 1 or 2 Swords Dances, you grab that Clear Amulet so you don't get your attack dropped. You don't need to worry about your speed because you've got Bullet Punch. You just start destroying things. It's really hard to calc against this sort of a Scizor. You turn Terra Steel, suddenly you're that much less weak to fire. This Mon can just wreck once it gets the Swords Dance up. And I think that I'm trying to build a team at this point of these 5 Mons to support this. Scizor gets a lot of coverage. Scizor gets to run a lot of weird coverage moves like Aerial Ace and Thief because they're below 60 power. They get the Technician boost and they come back up. This isn't meant to be Swarm, these are just ideas. I don't think Night Slash is actually better than Thief. It can get it, but that's really if I needed to have a Swarm calc. It gets Brick Break, but really why would I run that over close combat? Its coverage moves are unique. It gets, here it is. So the utility on Scizor, I love Feint. I love being sure of an attack in a strategy that's going to guaranteed get a hit. As long as there's no Farigiraf or Psychic Terrain. If I Feint you and then I bring in my Iron Moth to just nuke you with something, maybe a Sludge Wave because I'm a poison type, I'm a Steel type, you're gonna get hit. It gets the Tailwind, it gets Pounce, which is a speed drop, but really Scizor's job is to come in and Bullet Punch, pow pow. But also it gets Baton Pass. I was looking through its stats, and I know that it's doubles, and I know this is kind of a meme, but look at all these boosting moves it gets. It can Swords Dance, it can Substitute, it can get Agility, it can get Iron Defense. There's a lot that Scizor can do with the Baton Pass. I don't think it's optimal, but I don't know. I'll do some min speed, get up your Swords Dance and your Iron Defense, switch into Greedent, body press stuff. Switch Iron Defense into Wo-Chien. Suddenly Wo-Chien can't go down. Maybe Agility Wo-Chien, Agility Salamence. All this seems kind of cute. I don't think it's very good, but it gets Baton Pass. Maybe I Baton Pass out of a Shadow Tag one day. I'd rather you turn out of it. But okay, here's Amoonguss. Here's Foongus. I'm sorry. Amoonguss is bad. Amoonguss is too fast. Foongus is my 5th pick, and I really wanted this Pokemon. Foongus has 15 speed. Remember how Iron Moth is my fastest thing? I really like also looking at my slowest thing. I was looking at my conference, and there was 2 or 3 Trick Room teams that I was really afraid of, and at this point I hadn't drafted a Trick Room mode because a lot of the Trick Room strategies and modes were getting drafted better than mine. I felt much more comfortable with my draft so far in Tailwind, in bulky screens, in defensive options to get through Trick Room. What Foongus does here is it forces those Trick Room teams to respect it. Being 15 speed means you're actually the slowest mon in the format. I think you're tied with like Pincurchin and Slowpoke. You're a real Pokemon because you have things like Spore. Here's your set. You have Rage Powder. Well, hold on. You have Spore because if you're in Trick Room, you get to go first now and you get to Spore something. So, what do? You commit your Terra Grass to your Torkoal, you put your safety goggles on your Arcanine or some other sweeper, and you don't get hit. If I spent 8 points on this Foongus to take away Torkoal's Charcoal and make it wear a safety goggles, and Foongus sits on the bench, then it was worth its points. It's even more worth its points if it comes in and spores something or Rage Powders in a big way. But if I spent 8 points to make my opponent consider running a safety goggles or consider running Terra Grass on someone, then yeah, Foongus is doing his job, and he's the fastest thing in Trick Room. This is his set. He runs Rage Powder and Spore, and then probably Protect. Maybe he goes Terra Steel, maybe he goes Terra something. You EV it to not die to whatever you care about. I don't think you need to run Focus Sash on this guy, but really my team hasn't really needed a Focus Sash yet. Normally I build a team and I have like a Persian, or I've got someone that's meant to take a hit. Foongus can actually run this Eviolite and become really, really bulky. He can live the hit that you need him to live without wasting your full Focus Sash. Okay, he has a couple more options. He gets Pollen Puff. He can heal up your Wo-Chien, he can heal up your Bellibolt after he gets hit, which is kind of nice. You can substitute your Wo-Chien and heal it up underneath that. That's pretty toxic. He gets Toxic to go with your Wo-Chien. Toxic Pollen Puff, Toxic Wo-Chien. Seems kind of good. I've never run Clear Smog very effectively, but he gets it if I'm afraid of some setup team setupier than mine. And then he gets the Foul Play, which I think is better than the Leaf Storm most times. I don't think 55 special attack is really doing much, but hey, Foongus can do it. Foongus is the slow guy. He gets Spore, so maybe you just Spore everything. I think this is a reasonable set. I think if you just click on this button, then you're just fine. Maybe Rage Powder too, but it doesn't really go with the Sleep Talk, so maybe just run Spore a bunch. And remember, we don't want a Moongus. This Pokemon is better than a Moongus. It is cheaper, and it is slower. A Moongus is too fast. Do not pick up Moongus. It is bad in Draft League. Come at me. To continue with my Trick Room ideas, really my Trick Room deterrents, I picked up Giancarlo, the Greedent. Giancarlo is the name of my cousin, and he and I go out to eat every week. So when you see Greedent, we are all going out to dinner, and we are going to eat some delicious berries. Greedent has 20 base speed. He is not the slowest in the format because of Foongus, but he does speed tie with Torkoal, and if it's Greedent and Torkoal, and you're at a speed tie, maybe Torkoal is torn between running an Iron Ball and a Safety Goggles. If my threats are respectable enough, I'm here to be slow. I'm slower than you. Maybe you're running some Mudsdale. Mudsdale's not really afraid of Greedent, but maybe you're running something with 30 base speed, which is really, really slow. Greedent is going to be faster than you in Trick Room. Again, my Trick Room threats are here more to deter Trick Room than to actually lean into Trick Room. But I think that Greedent is a champion at doing that. Look at his bulk. His bulk is actually crazy. 120, 95, 75. This is so much defense. It is hard to one-shot a Greedent, especially because he's only weak to normal. What are you going to do? Hit him with Aura Sphere? Please. So the first thing he can do is he can Belly Drum. But he might die. He's got this ability Cheek Pouch, which said after you eat any berry, you heal more HP, even if it wasn't a citrus berry. So maybe I get to Belly Drum, I get to heal a bunch of HP. Maybe I get to Belly Drum, and Wo-Chien has got my back. I'm snarling, I'm intimidating, I'm Rage Powdering in Trick Room. Suddenly I got my belly Drum up. Now here's my Earthquake bot. Here's Body Slam. I think that that Greedent is a fantastic way to threaten a setup in Trick Room. And I don't have to run Trick Room. I just have to put Greedent around. Maybe he's just on my team this week. Maybe he's just on my bench. Trick Room teams are going to think about this Pokemon. But you know, Belly Drum takes a lot of work. You know, it's like you have to set up this thing, and then you're damaged, and you waste your healing from Citrus Berry. Now your 3-shot Greedent just turned into a 2-shot. It's kind of scary. So, what if we went a little bit more defensive? Greedent gets this move called Stuffed Cheeks. Stuffed Cheeks says, eat your berry. Get +2 defense. It is eat your berry and get an iron defense. If you eat a Ganelon berry, which is this blue one here, then suddenly you get a +3 defense boost because you have 2 from the Stuffed Cheeks plus another 1 from the Ganelon berry, and you've got base 95 defense. You know, that sounds like a body press to me. Maybe you substitute, maybe you crunch. You have other options. You don't really want to be stuck with just a fighting attack. Then you might die to a ghost type. So you kind of want the crunch. The substitute's there to be cool. You know, maybe you get the heal from the Foongus. But really the goal here is to Stuff Cheeks to +3 defense, max out your defense, and then body press away. Kind of a cool fighting option. Speaking of not having options against ghost types, Greedent's best move is actually Last Resort. Last Resort says if you've used all of your other moves, and I tested it, unfortunately, yes, you do have to use at least one other move. If you use all of your other moves, here is my 140 base power attack, which has like 8 PP. That's plenty. Last Resort will get some KOs. So the question is, what move do you want to use before that? Well, one way to do that is you stockpile. You can build up your defense a little bit so that your Cheek Pouch Citrus Berry goes a little bit further. Now, their 2-shot became a 3-shot because of the Citrus Berry, became a 4-shot because of the stockpile, became a 5-shot, became You Never Die because of Bellibolt and Wo-Chien and Salamence and the team. Suddenly Last Resort is hitting really hard, really fast. Maybe you turn normal and you just hit even harder. But, so this isn't my favorite Last Resort set. This one is. Instead of going with the recovery of the Citrus Berry, let's eat this Lychee Berry up here, this one right up here, which is the +1 attack berry. You can't run a Choice Band on Greedent to run Last Resort, because you have to use another move. So you Stuff Cheeks, which is your signature move, use your signature ability Cheek Pouch, you get your +1 attack, your +2 defense, and you go to town. You're basically Choice Band Last Resort at this point. It's very, very strong, and if you're running Trick Room and I lead Greedent, I might just Stuff Cheeks turn 1 and then Last Resort KO your, I don't know, Indeedee female, your Farigiraf. Here I come with Last Resort, just bonk. Again, if I make you commit a Terra Ghost to this in prep, then worth it to me. It gets other options. It gets a lot of really cool coverage. It gets Trailblaze. Come on. Yeah, it gets Trailblaze. I don't think it's trying to actually go fast, but it gets that grass coverage. It gets Belch. It can actually do Sword Stance things with Last Resort. I think that it's a little greedy because Cheek Pouch is actually kind of nice. Maybe it's like Sword Stance Last Resort with the Citrus Berry. Sword Dance is nice. And Covet's kind of cool. I think it like does some damage and steals an item. Kind of a cool move. But really, I think Last Resort or just some sort of Belly Drum Earthquake set is the best move. Oh, look, more coverage. The Chople Berry is kind of nice. I mean, having one weakness, suddenly your Chople Berry, you get hit with a big fighting attack, you live it, and then you heal back a bunch of HP because of the Cheek Pouch. The Chople Berry is underrated on Greedent. But look, he's got even more coverage. Bulldoze for that Bellibolt strat, even in Trick Room. Ice Fang Seed Bomb, Wild Charge, but probably Seed Bomb over Trailblaze most of the time. But Greedent, actually a real threat. Belly Drum, Wild Charge, Sword Stance, Light Screen with the Bellibolt in Trick Room, Wild Charge. This guy, do not sleep on Greedent. He is coming to get you. Okay, so I've got my Foongus. I've got my Greedent. Who's actually setting Trick Room for me? For a long time, I was about to pick Gothorita. I was about to pick Gothorita because it is another annoying thing. What if I trapped you in with the mean look Wo-Chien and the shadow tag Gothorita? I had another Eviolite-Mon, and it just didn't feel right. I don't think I needed the Psychic coverage. I think the type chart was looking a little bit weird. I didn't have Fake Out yet, but I wanted a better threat. Gothorita didn't feel threatening enough. Who's threatening? Teatame. This is Teatame, the Polteageist, and he is terrifying. He is evil. He has 134 special attack, and he has defense that is bolstered by, again, Wo-Chien and Salamence, and all my screens. When it comes to versatility, I think that Teatame has the most versatility. Obviously, he gets Trick Room, so you can do the whole Trick Room Imprison thing, right? You can run a bunch of special defense, you can run a bunch of defense, however you feel like it, and then you just run your Shadow Ball. I don't think that, again, I don't think I'm trying to click Trick Room, but I'll imprison it. I'll imprison your Protect. I'll Trick Room. I'll thrive in Trick Room. I don't mind. I'll go no speed Polteageist. Base 70 is still a weird number. Again, I got Wo-Chien and Polteageist at 70. I got Scizor with priority at 65. Speed tier is kind of middling, but hey, I can get lower than Indeedee Armarouge. Armarouge is 75. I'll Shadow Ball him. I got no problem having this defensive Cursed Body Teatame Polteageist in Trick Room. Or, JK, that wasn't a mental herb, that was a white herb. I want to Shell Smash, I want to go fast. Again, Tailwind plus Space 70 speed is a lot of speed. So is Shell Smash double speed. Oh, Wiki Armor double speed. Let's go fast with Polteageist. Suddenly, I get reasonable coverage. I've got a Terra Blast, I think, but really, Polteageist's job is to hit Shadow Ball. I don't think it really needs a whole bunch of coverage. I don't think it gets a ton of coverage, but we'll let's see. I have it in a. We're about to look at his coverage and utility. It gets more utility than it gets coverage. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't going to spend a turn setting up anyway. I was going to choice specs you. I was going to trick you. I was going to do this other thing that wasn't with any herbs. It is actually not time for tea. It is time to put our glasses on and read a little bit. It was a trick all along. So here's my other way to run Polteageist. If you see Polteageist on my set, even if it's got Foongus and Greedent, are you really sure I'm going to click Trick Room? Do you really think I'm going to Shell Smash? I want this Pokemon to be as scary as possible, and not just because it's a Ghost type. Oh right, I'm sorry. I meant to set screens because all of my other Pokemon appreciate the screens. I don't think that Polteageist is a fantastic screen setter because of the middling speed tier, but hey, if I can get the light screen reflect up, I got no problem with that. It gets Will-O-Wisp to further reduce attack stats next to Wo-Chien and Salamence. No problem from me. And the Curse Body. Curse Body is an underrated defensive tool. A lot of times things can only hit your guys with one move, and sometimes that gets disabled and it's annoying. Polteageist is actually got a lot of really cool utility moves. It gets Ally Switch, one of the few Pokemon to get Ally Switch. So here's my Polteageist Bellibolt lead. I'm sorry, here's my Bellibolt Polteageist lead, and you just activated my Electromorphosis. Thank you very much. I've got Strength Sap to heal him back. I'm not a huge Strength Sap believer, but I know people who are. Aromatic Mist. If you don't know what Aromatic Mist is, it raises your partner's special defense by 1 stage. It seems kind of bad, but maybe there's a world where turns out my +1 special defense Bellibolt is actually the thing I want, and I've got Will-O-Wisp, Strength Sap, Aromatic Mist to get up a whole bunch of defensive abilities. I don't know. It's a move. Teatame also gets Tea Time, which lets all people eat their berries, which might go well with Greedent, but I don't think Tea Time is a strat. It gets other weird moves. It gets Sucker Punch if I really wanted the priority, but I don't think 65 attack. It's like Bellibolt Sucker Punch. It gets Stored Power if I really want to do Weak Armor, Shell Smash, Stored Powered things. I don't think I've really got the multi-hit move that Polteageist can live for that. It gets Baton Pass if I want to pass that Shell Smash into somebody else. Maybe Shell Smash Wo-Chien? Maybe Shell Smash Salamence? Sounds kind of cool. And it gets Foul Play. If I really don't think 134 special attack is enough, fine, I'll run Foul Play and I hit you with your Haxorus with his own special attack, with his own attack stat. I don't know. But he gets it, which is kind of nice. Here's the count. He is a vampire. He lives in his coffin all day, and then he comes out to count to 5. Because Cloyster gets Skill Link. And we have an item. Okay. People are wasting their item slot on loaded dice for Breloom, for Baxcalibur, for these Pokemon that just wish they had a good base move that did a bunch of damage. And Cloyster has that in its ability. Skill Link is so good. So you're going to come out, you're going to see Cloyster, you're going to count to 5, or you're going to count to 3 because you're going to be dead. Oh, right, it's Shell Smashes. So all that stuff that I said about Polteageist and all that stuff I said about special attacks, Cloyster does that too, but with high effective base power Skill Link physical attacks. Gets Icicle Spear and Rock Blast. Those are plenty of moves. Ice and Rock coverage, those are fantastic attacking types. Be scared of Shell Smash Cloyster. I'm showing the white herb here because that's what you do with Shell Smash, but I think that the Focus Sash, this is the longest I've ever looked at a team without really feeling like I want a Focus Sash. Maybe it's just Focus Sash Cloyster sometimes. Shell Smash, come and get you. Go to 1 HP. Who cares? Terrifying. It doesn't get a really great water move, and Cloyster is my only water type. Oh, I'm sorry, I've got Soak. Cloyster is my only natural water type. And its best move is like, it gets Liquidation, it gets Razor Shell, which isn't 100% accurate. I think it gets Waterfall. It's okay. But what's really great about Cloyster in Skill Link is that it can have an item while having loaded dice. Better than loaded dice. Loaded dice is Skill Link at home. And King's Rock is a really, really nasty item. King's Rock gives you, I think, 10% chance for flinch on every move that you hit with that didn't already have a flinch chance. So you can run things like Rock Blast and Icicle Spear and get, I think it's something like 41% effective flinch chance, as long as you're faster. Which means I should have a Tailwind Setter. Or a Thunder Wave, which my team has to support this Cloyster. It also gets Ice Shard, which is it's not as strong as Scizor's Bullet Punch, but it's got the same threat that if I almost kill you, or you come in or I come in to revenge kill a thing, I could hit you with this priority attack instead of Shell Smashing or doing something really hurtful, and get you that way. I really like having the Ice Shard. And Waterfall is on this set because it has a flinch chance, and I like flinching. Cloyster's drawback is it's got no special defense and very low HP, but look at that defense stat. Amazing. 180 is, you just don't die. It feels like Great Tusk sometimes. You just really don't die to physical attacks, at least not one of them, maybe 2. But that's what Snarl and Light Screen are for, I guess. It gets cool coverage. The drill, like, look at this Mon that gets Icicle Spear, Rock Blast, Drill Run, and Water moves, and is 6 points. Who let this Pokemon be 6 points? It requires support, but I think that the team is here to support it. Maybe I Rage Powder and I Shell Smash and I come and get you. Again, that 70 base speed coming in to be that middling tier where you really want to double it. What else is nice is that Cloyster gets this ability Overcoat, which I don't think is always here for you. But in the Amoonguss, in the Lilligant, in the Jumpluff, in the Brute Bonnet matchup where you're actually afraid of getting spored, remember how we had the better loaded dice in Skill Link? We've actually got the better safety goggles in Overcoat. So if I'm actually afraid of my opponent's Foongus or dumber Amoonguss, and I don't think I can kill it with my multi-hit ice attack, then I can just run with the Overcoat. And then I'm not afraid of Rage Powder, I'm not afraid of Spore. I think that Overcoat Cloyster is underrated. I think that if you support it on the special side, it actually gets... It's a really nice way to get under that weird Vocal Runner Rage Powder or Pavilion Rage Powder that you wouldn't want to waste your item on. He gets other utility. He gets a lot of coverage. He gets the Steel move. He gets the Poison Jab. He gets utility moves. He gets weird special attacks. I don't think you really want to be running special, but hey, base 85 is fine. I think this is the same distribution as Wo-Chien, but in the other direction. Chilling Water's fine. Icy Wind is, I don't think I've had another Icy Wind user, so he does have speed control, and he gets more Toxic Spikes. Again, if I'm considering running the fast Toxic Spikes on Iron Moth, maybe I just get up 2 layers in one shot. I have 2 ways to set up Toxic Spikes, and that could set up an endgame for Wo-Chien. I think it's cool to just know that it's an option. Finally, important to note, Cloyster is really good at not dying on the physical side. So you can run Snowscape and Iron Defense, and then you can Life Dew. And that way you can heal yourself and heal your Wo-Chien, and heal your Bellibolt. And Cloyster doesn't get Body Press, so that 180 defense can't actually run that nonsense physical move. But hey, I can Snowscape and really never die. I don't think it's good. I think it's a meme. Finally, I picked up Morgrem, the Morgrem. Morgrem was almost Gothorita again. I really wanted the Fake Out. I really wanted the other option against Trick Room. And I, again, didn't think that Gothorita was threatening enough. I think that when you look at my team and you see Gothorita, you think it's annoying, but you don't have to build around it. I didn't love going into the Eviolite again, but for 10 points, I got to pick up this amazing monster of a support Pokemon. All of this time I've been talking about, well, what if I set up Light Screen with Bellibolt? What if I set up Light Screen with Wo-Chien? What if I set up Intimidate? What if I get attack and special attack drops with Snarl and Intimidate? This Mon gets it all. It gets the Fake Out that I'm missing, so I've got that priority threat. It gets the Reflect and Light Screen, and it has no problem running the Light Clay because it doesn't need the Eviolite. It's already setting up the Light Screen. So it's already bulky. And it's got a pretty good amount of bulk. I think it can live a reasonable hit as long as it's neutral, not some sort of super Moonblast from a Gardevoir or something. And it gets Parting Shot, which we've been talking about pivoting. We've been talking about reducing opponent's attack. We've been talking about how do I get my Wo-Chien Salamence into support my setup sweeper. If I lead Morgrem and Polteageist, am I going to Parting Shot and bring in Wo-Chien or bring in Salamence and set up a Shell Smash? Or am I going to Reflect Light Screen, Protect, or am I going to set up Trick Room and bring in the Greedent? This is that versatility that I was really looking for at the end of my draft. I think it's honestly terrifying. I think that Morgrem is the perfect pick for this team. I even could argue that it's better than Grimmsnarl, but that's a little tricky, but Morgrem is here for it. He also's got other cool things he can do. It's not just screens. He can click on Taunt and Foul Play. I don't have actually a bunch of great Taunt users on my team, so Taunt isn't until now hasn't been a fantastic option for stopping Trick Room, but they're probably running Light Clay or Oblivious Slowpoke or Magic Bounce Hatterene or something. So Taunt isn't fantastic, but I have it now. Now I can do that immediate Taunt. I've got that priority ability to shut something down. It gets other really cool speed control options. I can Thunder Wave and Scary Face. Thunder Wave to set up with the Cloyster. Maybe I just Thunder Wave and don't even Shell Smash. I just go for the Assault Vest or really fast, not the King's Rock Icicle Spear. Suddenly you're Thunder Waved and plus 40% chance to flinch. What if I also Swaggered you? now you're never attacking. Speed control. Thunder Wave and Scary Face. Misty Terrain Swagger. There's not a whole lot of I don't think that my team is super susceptible to status. I don't think paralysis. Sleep is always annoying, but I've got the Misty Terrain now. Maybe I set up Misty Terrain over an Electric Terrain, or I set it up over all of my Mons benefit from the terrain except for Salamence, and he didn't want to be on the ground anyway. He doesn't really like Misty Terrain because he's a dragon. But I could Misty Terrain Swagger, which is a strat I used to love to do with Safeguard. But what if Scizor didn't feel like clicking on his, he wanted to have the Choice Band, but I can probably, Morgrem is base 70 speed, and Scizor is base 65, so I could actually set up a Misty Terrain and then Swagger into Scizor to get the +2 attack boost before he bullet punches all in the same turn. Well, not in the same turn, but once I set up the Misty Terrain. Point is, don't miss your swaggers. And Morgrem is a champion. I don't think he's ever here for offense, but he has the abilities. He has that Sucker Punch, but this one's Stab. It's got Play Rough, which is one of the better fairy moves on my team, besides the Dazzling Gleam from the Iron Moth. There's not a whole lot of fairy coverage, but he's got it. He's got the Trailblaze because I keep clicking on Trailblaze, and I don't think it's actually that good of a move here. I think it's good on Scizor, but I don't think it's that good of a move here. And Morgrem has it. So Morgrem, what a champion. I think we're 10 Mons in, and we have 10 real threats. But really, the biggest threat is Gumdrop the Tadbulb. He holds a Moonball, because all of my Pokemon are in Moonballs. And his best ability is actually Illuminate, because I want to fight more with him. Really, he's here to really bring the sun. I don't know. We'll see him actually using Illuminate in the group photo again. Illuminate's terrifying, and I don't know how this Pokemon with this monstrous stat total got overlooked at one point. He really only has one set though. He runs the Moonball, he runs the Zap Cannon, and then he slaps you, and then splashes some water at you, and then you're just embarrassed, and you probably go home. So, you know, if I'm actually bringing the Tadbulb against you, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you expect to happen, but just go home, maybe. Oh, okay. I thought I had more. I thought I had automation on this page, but okay. Let's talk about how this draft comes together. I've been talking about it a lot, but let's kind of recap. The most basic thing here is that Wo-Chien likes playing with special attackers. Who knew? Reduce the offense of all the other Pokemon and leave your special attackers to run rampant. And we have very powerful special attackers. We've also got a lot of middling speed Pokemon and Tailwind. We have 2 premium Tailwind setters. I don't think either of them are like the fastest Tailwind setter out there. I didn't actually get the Talonflame. I don't think Talonflame really fits on this team, but the Tailwind Hyper Offense mode is real. And then we have Trick Room. I think I've got real Trick Room threats. I've got the Bellibolt, I've got the Greedent and the Foongus because they are so fast in Trick Room. If you're prepping against me, do you really want to click Trick Room? Or are you just going to click Trick Room and I'm going to Bullet Punch and Spore you anyway? Do I lose to Trick Room? Do you have enough damage in Trick Room? Do you have the time to waste clicking on Trick Room buttons? When I'm just snarling you and Parting Shot? I don't know. I think my team is not meant for Trick Room, but is really good against it. Okay, here's the more stuff. We've got setup threats. We have a ton of Mons that have setup moves, where if I get one turn where you just kind of ignore them, you're going to lose. And all of these Pokemon that we're talking about, maybe with the exception of Cloyster, are fine without clicking that setup move. If I can find that window to just click on a little bit stronger, a little bit faster, a little bit come and get you, they become real threats. And we have all of the support for the setup. Again, Wo-Chien, Intimidate, Screens, Parting Shot. We're really going to allow these setup sweepers to shine on both the physical and the special side. And finally, we have excellent memes in the Boca Raton Bellibolts. The Boca Raton Bellibolts will come and meme you so hard. Watch out for the Bellibolt sets, bring your safety goggles, and don't sleep on Tadbulb. And that's it. I've been Codamreon. Thanks for listening to me talk about Pokemon for an hour. I'm excited to play you if you're in the draft league, and if you're not, thanks for hanging out. Thanks to Tadbulb for bringing the sun. And thanks to the Boca Raton Bellibolts for a great season yet to come. Anyone, feel free to message me. I'm Codamreon. Message me in the comments. Message me on Discord. Come say hi. Come play a game. Let's get a scrimmage in. And good luck to everyone else in the conference. Thanks again. Talk to you soon.